Others start school driving a Porsche to show off. But you start school flying a sword, low-key. Because you're the only nascent soul cultivator on Blue Star. After graduating high school, you explored a desolate mountain. By accident, you entered the cultivation world through an ancient teleportation array. Due to your average talent, it took you 2,000 years to cultivate from chi refining to nascent soul. You became the revered ancestor of a sect. At this time, the ancient teleportation array activated again. As you planned to return to Blue Star, you were ambushed by a group of mysterious individuals. Then you opened your eyes again. You found your soul severely damaged and your dantian shattered. Your clothes reverted to your high school days. 2,000 years in the cultivation world had only passed as a summer vacation on Blue Star. At this moment, your Nokia phone in your bag rang. As soon as you answered, a woman's angry voice shouted, "You little brat, where have you been for a month without answering?" I was worried sick. Hearing your mom's familiar voice, your nose tingled with emotion. 2,000 years in the cultivation world. Your parents had become distant memories. You smiled and slowly replied, "Mom, it's so good to hear your voice again. My child, what are you saying? Xiao Fan, college is starting soon. Remember to go to Qingzhou and find Aunt Chow. I still have some things to do, so I'll talk to you later." After hanging up the phone, you gave a wry smile. As a nascent soul cultivator, going to college? Isn't that just pure comedy? Thinking this, you focused your thoughts. Your body floated into mid-air, but due to your shattered dantian, unable to absorb spiritual energy, you quickly fell back to the ground. It seemed you'd have to walk out of the mountains. At a cafe near Qingzhou train station, two young women had been waiting for some time. Xu Shuyan pouted and complained, "I just don't get it. There are so many people in the company. Why does mom insist I pick up this Yi Fan? Shuyan, do you think Aunt Chow is trying to match you two up?" "Xiao Tang, what nonsense are you spouting? Some country bumpkin from a small town. How could my mom possibly approve of him?" At this moment, a gentle male voice came from behind them. "Are you Xu Shuyan, Aunt Chow's daughter?" The two girls were startled. "You're Yi Fan?" Xu Shuyan sized you up. Covered in dirt with a shabby backpack on your back. She couldn't help but look disgusted. "Where's the handsome guy the first was promised? Am I really supposed to dine with this hillbilly?" Xu Shuyan had a sudden idea and pointed to her friend Xiao Tang with a smile. "Yes, she's Xu Shuyan." Then she whispered in her friend's ear, "Help me out here, and I'll give you 3 Givenchy lipsticks later." You heard everything clearly, but you didn't mind. You rubbed your stomach, not out of hunger, but because you felt your spiritual power draining. You couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought, as a nascent soul cultivator, I'd rely on mortal food to maintain my cultivation? Following the two girls out of the cafe, Xu Shuyan took out a car key and pressed it. A Porsche Panamera in the distance beeped in response. She said with a hint of pride, "How about this car? Not bad, right?" You casually nodded. "It's fine, just a bit too slow." Hearing this, Xu Shuyan was immediately annoyed. "May I ask, Yi Fan, what do you drive?" You replied nonchalantly, "I don't have a car. I usually ride clouds, and occasionally fly on a sword." Hearing this, Zhang Tang burst into laughter. "I say, classmate, you've read too many cultivation novels, haven't you?" Xu Shuyan rolled her eyes. "If my car is too slow for you, then hail a cab yourself. Let's see who's faster." You looked indifferent. "Sure." Xu Shuyan didn't expect you to accept the challenge and was surprised. "Are you sure? We're going to the West City Yintai Mall for dinner. It's about 6 or 7 kilometers from here. Loser treats, okay? If you want to compete, let's do it." Hearing your agreement, Xu Shuyan smiled brightly. She stepped on the gas and drove off from the station. Not long after the two girls left, you instantly disappeared, leaving only a faint shadow. You moved so fast that not even surveillance cameras could catch you. As a nascent soul cultivator traveling within the city, you didn't even need to use spiritual energy. You relied purely on physical strength. In less than 2 minutes, you arrived at West City Yintai Mall. A minute and a half of that was spent asking for directions. 5 minutes later, two girls ran over to the #1 entrance of Yintai Mall. It was Xu Shuyan and Zhang Tang. Thinking they had won, the two girls happily high-fived. Unbeknownst to them, you were already in a restaurant on the 5th floor, ordering food. This, not this one. The rest, 10 portions of each. Actually, make that 2 portions instead. Over 10 minutes later, the two girls finally reached the restaurant. Seeing you, they were instantly stunned. "Yi Fan, when did you get here?" "A long while ago. You were so slow I decided to order myself." "Miss Xu, I ordered quite a bit. You're not going to back out, are you?" Xu Shuyan was momentarily stunned but then sneered. "Nonsense, how could you be that fast? You must have cheated." "No way, we took the shortest route using navigation. You must have called the restaurant ahead to prepare the food, and snuck up while we were waiting for you." You shook your head helplessly, and had to call the waiter over as proof. This gentleman arrived 15 minutes ago." Zhang Tang still didn't believe it. 15 minutes ago, he was wandering near the north train station. Could he have flown? Forget it, Xiao Tang, he won fair and square. It's just a meal. Xu Shuyan didn't bother to argue further. In her mind, she already labeled you as a scheming guy. She initially considered befriending you, but now, even friendship seemed impossible. When Xu Shuyan entered the private room, she was stunned to see a table full of dishes. Flaming steak, snowflake shark fin, sea cucumber soup, papaya with blood swallow, steamed coral trout, and even Buddha jumps over the wall. She couldn't help but exclaim, "What's going on? Did we enter the wrong room?" The waiter gestured toward you. It was all ordered by this gentleman. Hearing this, Xu Shuyan was about to lose it. "Yi Fan, are you a pig? Why are you deliberately making things difficult for me?" You shrugged innocently. "I told you, I have a big appetite. If you don't want to treat me, it's fine. I'll pay for it myself." "No need, Xu Shuyan, honor my bets." With that, she pulled out a diamond-studded black card and handed it to the waiter. The card reader showed a total bill of 5,200. "Please don't appear in front of me again, thank you." Xu Shuyan threw out this line, and dragged Zhang Tang away. Mere 5,000 yuan meant nothing to Miss Xu. What mattered was that she felt you, this jerk, were targeting her. From elementary school to university, she had always been the center of attention wherever she went. She was the goddess in countless boys' hearts. Her family treated her as their precious jewel. When had she ever endured such humiliation? After the two girls left, you began enjoying the feast. After trying a few bites of each dish, you sighed. The taste isn't bad, but there's no spiritual energy at all. It's like chewing wax. You let out a sigh. Sigh, do I really have to eat this kind of food from now on? Xu Shuyan was cursing you the whole way. Meanwhile, Zhang Tang's stomach was growling. She hesitantly asked, "Shuyan, should we just go back and eat something? After all, you already paid for it." Xu Shuyan suddenly froze. "You're right, I paid for it. Why shouldn't I eat?" She just turned around to head back, when a boy walked up to her. The boy's face lit up with surprise and delight. "Shuyan, what a coincidence. You're at the mall too? We must really be fated." Xu Shuyan looked at the boy in front of her, a flicker of subtle disgust flashing in her eyes. This boy was her classmate from senior year. His family was powerful and influential. He was an undeniable school bully, and one of her many pursuers. "Chen Jihao, what are you doing here?" Chen Jihao hid the fiery eagerness in his eyes, trying his best to put on a gentlemanly smile. "Of course, I'm here for fun." "Shuyan, haven't had lunch yet, right? I happen to know of a newly opened French restaurant. It's Michelin 2-star. I reserved a table. Would you and your friend join me?" Xu Shuyan noticed his odd expression, and dragged Zhang Tang, trying to leave quickly. But Zhang Tang suddenly had an idea. "Shuyan, why don't we invite Chen Jihao to join us? With his personality, he'll definitely clash with that lunatic Yi Fan. Then we can just sit back and watch the show. Wouldn't that be fun?" Xu Shuyan's eyes lit up slightly. "Right, why didn't I think of that? Xiao Tang, you're such a clever little devil." Xu Shuyan turned around and gave Chen Jihao a stiff smile. "Jihao, how about I treat you to a meal?" Chen Jihao thought he was hallucinating. Suppressing his excitement, he asked. "Sure. Shuyan, where are we eating?" Meanwhile, you were enjoying a feast in the restaurant. Moments later, Chen Jihao followed the two girls into the private room. Zhang Tang exclaimed in surprise when she saw you. "Oh my god, Yi Fan, are you part pig? How can you eat so much?" Xu Shuyan also widened her eyes. They had only been gone for a while. More than half of the 30+ dishes were already gone. You paused your eating and said, "Weren't you leaving? Why are you back? Are you kidding me? I paid the bill. Can't I come back to eat?" "Mind your business." At this moment, Chen Jihao, looking confused, pointed at you. "Shuyan, who is this guy?" "He's Yi Fan, the son of my mom's good friend. He just arrived in Xingzhou from Dongyang today. My mom asked me to show him around." Just as Zhang Tang predicted, Chen Jihao's face darkened immediately. "Buddy, have you eaten enough?" You grabbed a lemon chicken, tore off a drumstick, and ignored him. "Buddy, how about this? I'll give you 2,000 yuan. Go eat somewhere else." You took a sip of hibiscus soup, and muttered to yourself, "Not enough salt." Seeing you completely ignoring him, Chen Jihao snapped. He slapped the half-eaten lemon chicken out of your hand. "I told you to stop eating." Zhang Tang, amused by the scene, grinned mischievously. She quickly pulled Xu Shuyan back. At this moment, you slowly stood up. Suddenly, you grabbed Chen Jihao by the hair, and shoved his face into a bowl of carp soup. No matter how much Chen Jihao struggled, your hand was as firm as an iron clamp. You held him in the soup, unable to move. Xu Shuyan saw that things were going wrong, and quickly ran over to pull you away. However, you didn't budge an inch. You deliberately controlled your strength, only wanting to teach this spoiled brat a lesson. "Remember this, don't bother me when I'm eating." After letting go, you returned to your seat and resumed eating. Though the spiritual energy in these mundane ingredients was pitifully low, it could still replenish some of your energy. Chen Jihao collapsed to the floor with a thud, spitting carp soup from his mouth and nose. A few fish bones were stuck to his face. He cried out in pain. His eyes were filled with hatred, but he knew he was no match for you, so he spat out a parting line. "Yi, just you wait, don't leave if you dare." You, still eating your snail noodles, casually replied, "Sure, go ahead and call someone." As Chen Jihao stormed out and slammed the door, You called over the waiter to pack the leftovers. By the time Chen Jihao returned with a fresh outfit and reinforcements, he found the three of you long gone. Kicking the door in frustration, Chen Jihao shouted, "Yi Fan, you coward. This isn't over. I'll make sure you regret this. I'll see to it that you can't stay in Qingzhou. The reason you left was because you didn't take Chen Jihao seriously at all. You got into Xu Shuyan's car. You arrived at Green City Rose Garden. This was a well-known affluent area in Qingzhou. Xu Shuyan glanced at you through the rearview mirror, mentally labeling you as a violent maniac again. Soon, the car stopped in front of a standalone villa. A graceful woman in her 40s was already waiting there. Xu Shuyan got out of the car and jogged over, her face full of grievances. Mommy, please don't make me handle something like this again. You have no idea. This Yi Fan is a violent maniac. The graceful woman shook her head upon hearing this. Nonsense. Xiao Fan is an honest and well-behaved boy. He's athletic and cheerful. Xu Shuyan stomped her foot. HMPH, that's just on the surface. At that moment, you walked over, carrying a bag of takeout in your hand. Aunt Chow, it's been so many years. You're looking more and more beautiful. Xiao Fan, your mouth has gotten so sweet. Oh, you shouldn't have brought anything. Coming over is enough. Old Fan, come help with this. Aunt Chow, Uncle Fan. This isn't a gift. It's just the leftovers Yi Fan packed from the restaurant. Aunt Chow was momentarily stunned. Then she broke into a bright smile. Saving food. What a good kid. Xiao Fan, from now on, as you stay here, you must get along well with Shuyan. Just treat her like your little sister. Hearing this, Xu Shuyan suddenly screamed. Mommy, what did you just say? When Xu Shuyan walked into the living room, when she saw several large bags of luggage, she completely broke down. Mommy, you're not serious, right? You're making me live with this violent maniac? How will I ever sleep at night? Xu Shuyan quickly turned to Zhang Tang. Xiao Tang, please convince Mommy. Otherwise, both of us will be in danger. The Zhang and Xu families were family friends. Zhang Tang had been living with Xu Shuyan since middle school. The two were closer than sisters. Aunt Chow, Shuyan and I are both girls. Having a boy suddenly move in, isn't that inconvenient? Aunt Chow smiled gently. I trust Xiao Fan's character completely. At this moment, you were gazing at the scenery in the yard, your eyes wandering, as if searching for something. Completely uninterested in their conversation, Xu Shuyan walked up to you, demanding, say something, don't just stand there like a mute. You don't want to live here either, right? But you waved her off calmly. This place is great. I'd like to stay. Aunt Chow looked at your back and smiled. She turned to the Xu family's butler, Fan Yi. Madam, as you said, this boy is truly excellent, mature and steady. Hearing this, Xu Shuyan clutched a pillow and started crying. Uncle Fan, why are you siding with this violent maniac too? Aunt Chow called you over to the yard and advised. Xiao Fan, Shuyan has been spoiled by me since childhood. As her older brother, be patient with her. She's not a bad girl at heart. You'll see that once you spend more time with her. You nodded, then you pulled out an envelope. You had just taken from your luggage. The thick envelope was filled with cash. You said seriously, this is the rent. I'm not sure if it's enough. Aunt Chow, please count it. Seeing this, Aunt Chow immediately frowned. What kind of joke is this? Paying rent to stay at Aunt Chow's house? People might think your mom and I are no longer friends. Take it back, otherwise, Aunt Chow will be upset. You casually put the envelope back. After all, it was just a polite gesture. Aunt Chow smiled again. Xiao Fan, if you really want to show your sincerity, just help me look after Shuyan at school. You know, Shuyan is beautiful and attracts boys easily. Your mom said you're always out climbing mountains and rock walls, so you're physically strong. You listened, feeling puzzled. Is Xu Shuyan really that beautiful? You couldn't see it. In truth, your main reason for choosing to stay here was that you discovered the villa's location sits on a spiritual nexus. In Blue Star's sparse spiritual energy environment, this nexus still retained traces of spiritual veins. It's a rare find. After Aunt Chow left, you started strolling around the yard. The standalone villa was quite large, with over 400 square meters of space. It was clear that the Xu family's wealth was extraordinary. At that moment, Xu Shuyan approached you, leading a German shepherd aggressively. Yi Fan, I don't care how you tricked my mom, but you can't stay here. If you don't leave, I'll let Black Dragon bite you. You responded with a question instead. Which room is mine? If no one assigns me one, I'll pick myself. Angered, Xu Shuyan released the leash immediately, pointing at you. Black Dragon, get him out of here. The German shepherd barked angrily in response, and charged at you instantly. But in the next second, you simply glared at Black Dragon. The dog skidded to a halt, turned tail, and ran back. It darted into its kennel, whimpering pathetically. Xu Shuyan pointed at you, her face pale. Did you kill someone? Otherwise, how did you scare Black Dragon? Black Dragon was a former military dog. You gave a sunny smile and said, at least you're not entirely dumb. Hearing this, Xu Shuyan screamed, dropped the leash, and fled upstairs to the second floor. Whistling, you returned to the villa, and lay down on the bed in the room assigned by the butler. Staring at the ceiling, lost in thought, Now that your Niwan Palace and Dantian were broken, and both your soul and body were gravely injured, such wounds, even in the southern heavens realm, would be hard to heal. Fortunately, you still had over 8,000 years of lifespan to figure something out. After pondering for a while, you realized you only had two options. Either find an immortal herb on Earth to repair your Niwan Palace, or find a way to return to the southern heavens realm. As you pondered, a wave of drowsiness hit you. The damage to your soul left you far less energetic than before. You slept until 9 p.m. Shu Shuyan deliberately didn't wake you for dinner, and even told the housekeeper to throw away the food you packed. Left with no choice, you went out to find food. On the second floor balcony, Dong Tang watched you leave and said, "Shuyan, he's heading out." Shu Shuyan originally wanted to provoke you into showing violence, so she could plot to get you kicked out. But you didn't fall for it, which left her so angry her cheeks puffed up like buns. "Then we'll lock the door tonight, and let him sleep on the street." You wandered near the university town, where there were many food streets. You randomly chose a place called Li Mei Barbecue and went in. Ordering some barbecue, you started eating while reading an online novel. The barbecue shop owner was a woman in her 40s, cleaning chives as she smiled at her daughter. "Wanwan, look, this boy looks tall and skinny. Probably around your age. Who knew he could eat so much?" He ordered over 600 yuan worth of food. Her daughter, Su Wanwan, who was helping with the chives, was beautiful and radiant, dressed in an old high school uniform. She asked skeptically, "Mom, aren't you afraid he might be another freeloader?" "Oh, how could that be? We only run into a few each month. Most customers are honest and pay their bills. A few a month is still too many. We work for days for nothing." The owner sighed and shook her head. "Forget it, Wanwan. There's nothing we can do about it. Brother Xiao and his gang of bullies. We can't afford to provoke them." You heard their conversation but kept a straight face, continuing to read your novel. Not long after, a group of people with brightly dyed hair entered the barbecue shop. The place instantly became noisy. Su Wanwan's face changed when she saw them. She tugged nervously at her mother's apron. "Mom, tea, they're here." The owner quickly waved her daughter away. "Go, hide in the kitchen, quickly." At that moment, a thug wearing a skull-patterned bandana walked past you. He kicked aside a few chairs. His name was Ma Kun, nicknamed Brother Kun, a local thug who collected protection money in the area. The owner quickly plastered on a smile and handed over a menu. "Big brothers, take a look and tell me what you'd like." "The usual, hurry up and serve it." You frowned at the noise, sealed your hearing with spiritual energy, and kept reading. Ma Kun slapped the owner on the shoulder, grinning maliciously. "Sister Mei, you're still quite charming. Why stick with a loser like Su Haichao? You'd be better off with me, Ma Kun. At least in the Shuiwi Street area, no one would dare mess with you." "Right, brothers?" The 5 thugs at the table burst into laughter. "Brother Kun, what a joke. I'm old and plain. How could I catch your eye? Just wait, I'll head to the kitchen and prepare. Tonight, I'll throw in a grilled fish for you gentlemen." Ma Kun waved her off, propping his feet up on the table, drinking and chatting with his crew. Their conversation was vulgar and offensive. A few other customers in the shop were scared off by their behavior. Seeing the fleeing customers not pay, Su Wanwan, hiding behind the counter, couldn't take it anymore. She covered her face with her sleeve and ran out. A blonde thug laughed and pointed at her as she left. "Brother Kun, look, where did such a pretty schoolgirl come from?" Hearing this, Ma Kun turned to look, his eyes lighting up instantly. Another thug chimed in. "I've seen her before. She's Li Mei's daughter. Usually studies at a high school in South City. Only comes back once every few months. Didn't expect this old lady was hiding such a pretty daughter. Even sending her off to South City for school. Guarding her against us like a thief. Watch how I win her over tonight." Su Wanwan was walking back with a few 100 yuan bills, when a hand suddenly snatched them away. She screamed immediately. "What are you doing? That's my money. Give it back. Give it back? How can you prove it's yours? Call its name and see if it answers." Su Wanwan didn't know how to respond. She could only glance toward you at the table. But you were engrossed in your phone, reading a novel with great interest. Showing no intention of helping, Su Wanwan bit her lip and glared at Ma Kun. "That's my money. Give it back, or I'll call the police." Ma Kun smiled faintly, casually snatching your phone. "Oh, call the police? Here, I'll lend you a phone. Go ahead, try it." At that moment, Li Mei noticed her daughter had caught the attention of the thugs. Her heart tightened as she quickly approached with a smile. "Brother Kun, everything is almost ready. You'll be able to eat soon." Ma Kun immediately raised his hand and slapped Li Mei across the face. "Eat? Eat what? Let me tell you, from now on, every shop on Shuiwi Street must pay an extra 4,000 yuan in management fees every month. That's Brother Xiao's order." At this moment, Su Wanwan cried and clung to Li Mei. Ignoring the pain on her face, Li Mei pleaded in terror. "Brother Kun, you're cutting off our livelihood. 4,000 yuan? How can I afford that? Can't afford it? Here's an idea. Let your daughter call me her godbrother. That way, you'll be my godmother. I guarantee no one on this street will ever bother you again." "So, Sister Mei, what do you say? Brother Kun, please spare us. I'll kneel for you. Wanwan is only 18, she just got into Qingzhou University. You remained expressionless at the scene. Having lived for over 2,000 years, you had seen countless similar situations in the cultivation world. At least Earth has laws. In the cultivation world, there were none. They take what they want, kill who interferes. Talk of massacres was commonplace. No hesitation at all. Save them? Can everyone be saved? You stood up, dusted yourself off, and prepared to leave. Madam, the bill. How much is it? Li Mei looked at you, unsure of what to do. Su Wanwan also thought you were strange. But she still replied, 530 yuan in total. You grabbed your phone from Ma Kun's hand to scan and pay. This action, however, enraged Ma Kun. He raised his hand to slap you across the face, shouting angrily, "Did I say you could pay?" You calmly grabbed his wrist and squeezed gently. A sharp crack echoed in the air. Ma Kun's wrist bone snapped instantly. He screamed in pain and fell to the ground, writhing. Seeing this, the 5 thugs turned pale. One by one, they charged at you with fists flying. You frowned, slightly annoyed. With a quick slap, you struck all 5 of them in a flash. A series of crisp slaps echoed in the room. 5 slaps in quick succession. It collapsed immediately. By the time Su Wanwan and Li Mei regained their senses, you had already left. It was just a casual action for you. You just want to go home and read your novel.